Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into something that is just absolutely brilliant. Honestly, it's almost subversive. We're going to look at how a simple language app literally hijacked human psychology using the exact same sneaky tactics as our most distracting tech, all to democratize learning for the entire planet. We're talking about Duolingo, created by Louis von Ahn, and how it essentially became the Trojan horse of global education.
So here's the big question right out of the gate. Can we make learning as addictive as social media? I mean, humanity has engineered these incredibly potent digital ecosystems, right? Apps that keep our eyes glued to our screens for literally hours on end. But what if we took that exact same playbook, the one designed to keep us scrolling endlessly, and just flipped it entirely on its head? What if we could make self-improvement, like learning a brand new skill, just as compulsive as checking your feed? Well, to understand how they actually pulled this off, we've got to first understand the massive, profound problem they were originally trying to solve.
Section 1. Education's Inequality Problem.
Growing up in Guatemala, the creator Louis von Ahn realized something really deeply unsettling, and that's that education historically actually widens the wealth gap. Think about it. The wealthy can just buy vastly superior schooling, which ensures they keep making a lot of money, right? Meanwhile, those without resources are just left behind. So when he and his co-founder Carnegie Mellon wanted to tackle this massive inequality, they knew they had to pick a very specific starting point, and they chose foreign languages. Why languages? Well, out of the roughly 2 billion people learning a language worldwide, about 80% are learning English. And unlike math, where you usually have to leverage that into physics and then maybe go get an engineering degree just to actually see a payday, English is a direct, immediate ticket. If you're a waiter in a local restaurant and you learn the language, boom, you can immediately get a job at an international hotel and instantly boost your income. It's just a direct, completely transformative jump.
Section 2. The Smartphone Solution. Now, having a subject to teach is really only half the battle, because building physical schools all over the world, that's logistically impossible and just wildly expensive. So they relied on a piece of infrastructure that's already sitting in the pockets of most of the world's population, the smartphone. But here's the genius part. To make this financially viable without shutting out the very people who need it most, they built a freemium model, but with this brilliant twist of global wealth redistribution. Basically, you can learn as much as you want for free, but you're going to see ads. If you don't want ads, you pay for a subscription. And as it turns out, the vast majority of revenue actually comes from well-off people in wealthier countries, like the US and Canada, who willingly pay to turn off those ads. Meanwhile, the people learning for free, who are literally being directly subsidized by those subscriptions, mostly live in poorer countries like Brazil, Vietnam, and Guatemala. It's this incredible system where wealthier populations are effectively paying for the education of everyone else around the globe.
Section 3. Broccoli tasting like dessert.
But, okay, this incredible business model introduces a huge psychological hurdle. By putting education on a smartphone, you are directly competing against the most addictive digital drugs humanity has ever engineered. We're talking TikTok, Instagram, endless mobile games. There's this fantastic quote from von Ahn that perfectly captures the challenge. He says, delivering education over a smartphone is like hoping that people will eat their broccoli, but right next to it, you put the most delicious dessert ever made. And he hits the nail on the head there. Making education accessible just isn't enough. You literally have to trick people into genuinely wanting to eat their broccoli when a giant slice of cake is sitting right there next to it.
Section 4. The Power of Gamification.
So how do you successfully make that broccoli taste like dessert? You've got to fight fire with fire. You have to use the exact same engagement mechanics utilized by social media and mobile games, but totally pivot their purpose toward education. Let's break down one of the absolute most powerful tools in that psychological playbook, the streak mechanic. It's a super simple 3-step process. Step 1, you measure the consecutive days a user opens the app. Step 2, you display that number very prominently. And Step 3, and this is the absolute kicker, if they miss a single day, that number drops all the way back down to 0. People absolutely hate losing their streaks. And while this mechanic has taken a lot of heat for addicting teens to social media, in an educational context, it successfully gets people to study every single day. Actually, a fun little fact from the source material, Japan boasts the longest average streaks in the world, while Latin America, much to von Ahn's playful chagrin, has the absolute shortest.
3 million. That is the staggering number of daily active users who have a streak longer than 365 days. Think about that for a second. That means 3 million people haven't missed a single day of language learning in over an entire year. No way, right? It shows that this gamification isn't just some cheap gimmick. It's creating deeply ingrained long-term habits on a truly global scale.
Okay, so another massive part of app engagement is the push notification. Now, nobody likes spam, but with education, people actually want to be reminded to learn. So they went ahead and developed this highly sophisticated, multi-million-dollar AI system to figure out exactly when to ping a user to maximize the chance they actually open the app. So, ask yourself, when do you think is the absolute, mathematically best time to send a notification?
The answer, uncovered by all that expensive artificial intelligence, is actually hilariously simple. It's exactly 24 hours after they last used the product. Why? Well, because if you were free and in the mood to study at 3 p.m. yesterday, there's a very, very high probability you're going to be free and in the mood to study at 3 p.m. today. Makes total sense, right?
But what happens when you just completely ignore those perfectly timed notifications? Well, the app actually stops spamming you after 7 days. But it doesn't just leave quietly. Oh no, it sends one final message from its little green owl mascot. These reminders don't seem to be working. We'll stop sending them for now. This is just a brilliantly passive-aggressive guilt trip. It literally makes users feel like the owl has just completely given up on them. And the crazy thing? It works flawlessly. It drags people right back in, sparking thousands of internet memes and even Saturday Night Live skits about the insane lengths this mascot will go to just to make you practice your Spanish.
But here is the profound realization behind all of these sneaky tactics, captured perfectly in this 80-20 rule. Von Ahn totally admits you can never make an educational app 100% as mindlessly engaging as TikTok. It's pretty much impossible to compete strictly with cat videos and celebrity gossip. But here's the secret. Education apps don't actually need to win that fight outright. If gamification can get an app to be 80% as engaging as social media, that remaining 20%, it's carried by human nature's own internal motivation. Why? Because scrolling for 2 hours often just leaves you feeling completely empty inside, like you've totally wasted your time. Learning, on the other hand, provides inherent meaning. It gives you a tangible sense of accomplishment. And that meaning fundamentally closes the engagement gap.
And hey, if you doubt whether this Trojan horse strategy actually works in practice, just consider this absolutely staggering fact. Today, there are more people actively learning languages on this single mobile app in the United States than there are people learning languages across all U.S. high schools combined. I mean, let that sink in. By making the broccoli taste like dessert, they've completely eclipsed the entire scale of traditional physical schooling in this subject area. It's mind-blowing. So where does this leave us for the future? Well, the hope is to take this exact model and apply it far beyond just languages. Think about elementary school math, or basic physics, or even learning to read. These are complex, sometimes tedious disciplines that require thousands upon thousands of repetitions to really master. If you can gamify those repetitions, you can make them genuinely fun. We could honestly be looking at a future where screen time is no longer this inherently bad thing we feel guilty about, but rather the primary engine for delivering high-quality, completely free education to everyone on Earth, regardless of their socioeconomic status.
Knowing all the psychology, the artificial intelligence, the internet memes, and the incredible global mission behind that little green icon, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If we can successfully hijack our own dopamine loops just to learn a new language, what other massive global challenges could we solve by simply making the broccoli taste a little bit more like dessert? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it completely changes how you look at the apps sitting on your phone right now.